Hello, Nyla. This is Chris Kretz. I am the head of academic engagement at Stony Brook University, but Chris DiCristofaro reached out, said you were interested in podcasting, so I thought I would share my journey. I started podcasting 2005 out of the Dowling College Library, where we were interested in bringing voices and stories to people that hadn't been heard and highlighting the work of our faculty, doing talks on their research, student involvement in different things that they were doing, talking about the collection. And a lot of that was drawing on our special collections and archives, and that morphed into a different podcast involving a local historical society, which became the podcast that I continue to produce, the Long Island History Project. And you're in luck, I'm about to post a new episode, so I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Don't tell anyone you're seeing this. This is the latest episode going up. It's a good one. You can catch it at longislandhistoryproject.org. So there you go. But the impetus for the Long Island History Project is the same, getting stories out there that people are not hearing or that are not being covered in other venues. So we're talking to local historians, authors, archivists, people that have researched and self-published on their family history. It is very fulfilling. To me, I almost see it as an extension of the reference interview. You use those skills to draw out information from people that they might not know they actually have. And it gets a good response. So I feel like we're adding to public discourse, if you want to get academic about it. It's all free, so in a way we are an alternative to the paid model of commercial broadcasting. And I would say jump in. It's not hard to learn. It takes time, but it's like learning any other software. You get used to wearing things like this and paying attention to how things sound and how you can edit it. I would say just edit more than you think you need to. Keep in mind the time of the listener. Maybe cut it down more than you think you need to. But just get out there and have fun.
Hey, this is Jessica with Syosset Libraries Turn the Page podcast, which is usually my sign-on when we're podcasting. So we started Turn the Page just as a way to engage the staff and the patrons in some conversations about interesting topics and to kind of get to know the staff a little bit better and introduce the library to our community in a different way. It has grown to become so much more than we were expecting, and we love it so much. This is a great way to showcase the interesting topics our staff would like to explore, to give new voice to people who our patrons might just know from brief desk encounters, and also to kind of get us out there on a national stage. I truly believe podcasting is a wonderful fit for libraries because we're always curious and we're always interested in so many topics, and I think we get a rap for being quiet, and that's not necessarily the case. So this is a wonderful way to reintroduce not just your own library to your community, but libraries in general. So we hope to do that for the Syosset community and beyond. And I wish you all luck in your podcasting endeavors.
Hi, future podcasters. I am Karen Lantak, the very, very grateful host of the Top Shelf at Merrick Library podcast. If you had told me when I was a financial services librarian working in New York City that one day I'd be a public librarian and hosting my own podcast, I would never have believed you. So here we are, over 70 episodes later, 7 or 8 that I'm currently editing, and it is one of the joys of my job. I connect authors with readers, readers with authors, and now I'm expanding that to screenwriters and producers and directors, and the sky's the limit. It's been an incredible journey. The connections I've made with fellow podcasters is more than I could have imagined. I've learned a brand new skill set, and it's been both fun and hair-pulling. Having director support and board support is a great thing, and it's a great thing because at the end of every episode, I always thank them by saying, thanks for getting us off the ground and on to the airwaves. Until the next time, remember to keep us on your top shelf. So Good luck to all of you. Thanks for giving me your time, and I hope to see you soon on the airwaves.
Hello, my name is Michelle Arbuckle. I am the host of the podcast Libraryland Loves, which is a podcast from the Ontario Library Association. I am coming to you today from Toronto, Ontario. Very excited to be here at the New York Library Association conference. Thanks so much to Chris for asking me. So I started this podcast about 4 years ago, and the reason I started it was I just wanted to talk to people that I thought were cool, people that are doing interesting things, doing good projects, had interesting perspectives and things to talk about. And we've covered some pretty good topics, if I do say so myself. It's generally in a top 5 format. So people will come and talk about something they're doing and then sometimes have a top 5 that's completely unrelated. But recently we did top 5 reasons to go find free, which was a great conversation. Top 5 reasons to take leadership training. We talked a little bit about Discord, using Discord as a platform in library programming. Of course, we did a chat, top 5 ways to talk to authors with Carol Ann Tack, which was a great conversation. Last year, we did the Audiobook Academy Awards, where we gave out awards to our favorite audiobooks. Super fun. Top 5 tips for managing a virtual team. Building relationships during a pandemic. Hope I never have to do that one again, but we'll see. The reason I started the podcast, like I said, is because I like to talk to people. I like to hear all of the different projects that are going on in Libraryland and just what types of things people are into and interested in, because we all come from such varied background and perspectives that I think it's really interesting to hear what our interests are. So, not a super hard-hitting academic podcast by any means. It's pretty fun. I try to keep it entertaining. We try to keep it about 30 to 45 minutes in length. And I really love doing it. I think I've achieved what I hoped to do, which is just to talk to cool people and hear more about what they're up to. And, much like the great Lady Gaga, I live for the applause. Hearing none, I live to talk to library people, and I love doing it. Have a great conference.
All right, what is going on? It is me, Mr. Poe, aka Andreas,
and it is me, Joshua, aka Mr. Popo,
and we are part of the Average Bruntwood Teens podcast by the Bruntwood Public Library,
a podcast for teens by teens.
Me and my team started this podcast so that we can hear the thoughts, genres, and topics that our teens are going through every single day. And I thought it would be a great idea that we can spread that awareness with this podcast.
And also, if our podcast were to be able to go, wide within the community, we can be able to show another side of Brentwood that not a lot of people can be able to see. The fun kind and the kind where our generation, is just like any other. I've been part of this podcast since I was a freshman. And if it weren't for this podcast, I wouldn't be so devoted to my community. The amount of people that I was able to meet from this podcast, such as Mr. Poe himself, and the other teens that I've been working with in this podcast, which is a diverse few, it just really gets me connected to the community and gets me connected with those around me.
So what I love about this podcast is that I get to see this young man right here and all of the teens grow up, man. And honestly, it's been a complete honor because we get to hear their thoughts and their opinions are being spoken out there. And they're inspiring many other teens to do the same exact thing. And that's what we do. We want to inspire not just Brentwood, but everywhere, the whole community. And it's an honor to do this with them.
As I said before, I really do hope that this podcast can be able to spread around and have others, see a different side of Brentwood, see a different side of a community that they'd never seen before, whether they heard one thing about it. And, just be able to have this be a staple for not only my life, but the other teens and the other faculty that have worked with me.
You know how we do. At the end of the day, anytime you guys want to hear us at the Brentwood